Hello, survivors. Welcome back to the garage, the Waste's vault of knowledge. You're watching the most in-depth and useful show for every true fan of Crossout. Subscribe now and don't forget to click the bell icon never to miss another episode full of good stuff straight from the devs. And don't forget that we now also have Crossout Show here. The best designers and drivers can compete for prizes. Get in, watch, take part. Buckle up, fellas. It's go time. Since hovers and parts of Dawn Children have already been available for some time to everyone, today's test drive is fully dedicated to the player's crafts. Don't forget, you can share your crafts in the exhibition mode. Rides which gets most likes get a chance to be featured in our show. So, which armored crafts got your attention this time? Hovers and Cavant. A massive ride which immediately gets your attention thanks to neat crafting and blazing design. At the core of it, there's a 6x4 frame and a quantum cabin with 11 points of energy. 8 of those are used by 2 synthesis plasma emitters, symmetrically installed on each side. The ride moves on 4 Icarus hovers. Combination of the red moon and white sun dyes make the craft look like a futuristic race car and a flying tank simultaneously. Just by the looks of the craft, you already get the idea. Better stay away from it. In combat, H&K proves itself less impressive than promised by its looks. It's a pity that there isn't enough energy to install additional hovers. The flight accuracy leaves much to be desired. You'd have to get used to drifts, and you'd better not do this in real combat, but rather on a bot map. When in combat, it's better to always be on the move, only hovering near an enemy for pinpoint shots. Constant maneuvering must become a key element of your combat style. Synthesis guns deal out good damage, but take quite a long time to reload. Use them one at a time or constantly retreat and dodge, preparing for a new attack. Ideally, you should aim at the enemy's weaponry. As soon as you're done with it, it won't be much of a problem to finish off the ride's slower speed. Hover. The second craft looks almost like a complete opposite of the first one. 10 Icarus hovers may take up a significant amount of energy, but guarantee a smooth flight with almost perfect control. The cabin here is quantum again, and alongside a gas generator and a light engine, it ensures comfortable speed. There's even some energy left for installing 2 Hurricanes. The hover is crafted for long-range attacks. The salvo of 8 rockets will simply hit beside the mark if you're too close to the enemy. Chameleon invisibility module should provide coverage, while the craft takes in the rear and looks for a convenient place to attack. But there is a hitch. 2 rows of hovers give away the ride, even when it blends into surroundings. One might not notice this in the heat of the fight, but when the enemies are few, the stealthiness becomes formal. This is true for all hovercrafts, so fans of scientist parts should keep that in mind. Additionally, invisibility is off when you fire, and the module goes for a recharge. This is why, while fighting on a hover, you definitely need either ally support, which finishes off the enemy after the missile strike, or a well-timed retreat. The attack pattern is not the most common, but exactly due to its non-triviality, it might just work. Go for it. Finally, a couple of art crafts. It's pretty much impossible to fight on these, but we couldn't just walk past them. Can't help but admire their looks. They do remind us of something, some spaceships, right? Every time we show a part from the Hot Rod set, we get a barrage of questions in the comments. Today, we dwell on this set to dispel any misunderstandings. A quick historical background. Initially, a hot rod is an American ride modified for achieving max available speed. We're not talking about any particular brand or model here, but a huge subculture. A ride of modest mass is usually needed for the rework, with all the unnecessary parts removed for more weight saving. These modifications gave the rides unusual looks, which later became their hallmark. Needless to say, the fun required some knowledge in tuning and modding. No surprise then that in the world of Crossout, the tradition got a new lease on life. There's no shortage of good mechanics in the wastes. Hot Rod Parts set was available to all the Crossout players during the closed testing stage. But after the transition into OBT, it became a console exclusive. In this show, we use recordings from test servers. This is why you might notice the parts even while watching on PC. As for common players, you can get most of the parts as a reward for loyalty to Steppenwolves, while the cabin can be seen in the Wastes Law PS4 bundle and Rough Days Xbox One bundle. The easiest craft using hot rod parts look like this. These parts are easily recognizable. Stylized as the first cars, they stand out among others. Streamlined form, smooth lines, a nearly total absence of sharp edges give away race purposes. However, the base characteristics are not so remarkable. Let's start with saying that rare parts have no modifications. The hood, for example, is 50 points of power. The trunk, 35. For illustration purposes, we've put all the parts with their characteristics into the table. However, the cabin is a whole different story. Pure classics, which have survived more than one modification, it's perfect for survival in the wastes, especially if the owner knows a thing or two about style. 10 points of energy is a decent foundation for any construction, while 120 points of structure guarantee margin of safety. A hot rod is an awesome basis for the ride of any Focus. The cabin is the only rare grade part in the set. A craft using as many set parts as possible will be very fast. It gathers good speed and maneuvers easily. The Lunatics combat style fans, which is all about fast motion and close range fights, will immediately feel horny. But it's important not to overload the craft with additional parts and accurately calculate the quantity and the disposition of wheels. Yeah, the hot rod is a console exclusive, but it won't bring radical changes into the global balance. We see here an iconic thing for speed connoisseurs. There's no critical combat advantages for set owners. This is why there's not much point in worrying that you don't have the set on your platform. By the way, exclusive parts may appear in any version of Crossout in the future. Follow the updates. The garage frequenters are traditionally among the first ones to know about these. For many fighters, the war in the wastes is not a disaster, but rather an opportunity to feast. Raiders make a living with nothing but robbery, and the goods need to be transported from time to time, be they robbed or bought. Moving around the world after the Crossout may be called comfortable at a great stretch. Asphalt is fractured because of the heat and explosions. Here and there, bodies of rusted rides stick out of the ground, debarring the passage, but more often, nature itself becomes the barrier. So, where a small armored ride may still push its way, a heavy loaded one needs to look for a detour. Important throughways can be counted on one hand. One such way is Eastern Array, passing through Control 17 Station. This territory is under control of the sinister raider gang who came from the contaminated and abandoned north. The scavengers' leader, Scar AB, pays generously to any mercenary for guarding the transported goods. What's inside the trucks is unknown, but even the real danger doesn't change the status quo. Eastern Array is a map for PvE modes Convoy, Escort, and Chase, designed for 4 survivors. The enemies in both cases are not the players, but the AI raiders. The location is straight, with rare turns and a relay broadcast station in the center. It's more linear than the new Devil's Minery map, analyzed in the previous episode. This allows concentrating directly on defense or attack, which is an advantage for many players. Not long ago, we did some error corrections, transformed the arena, widening the roads. The missions have become more dynamic. In Convoy Escort, the truck must get to the destination point, with your help, of course. In the Chase, we're talking about 2 heavy trucks, with 4 tough escort vehicles and lots of support rides. To get the reward, follow this advice. You're going to be moving through mine areas. Make sure that your craft and the allies have rapid-fire weaponry. It's the only way to quickly clear the road for you and your truck, dodging serious casualties. Crafts of the same kind in one team will unlikely lead you to victory. It's better to use both slow armored vehicles and fast rides. Each will play its role in its own part of the way. Don't use PvP ride in raids. Craft a new ride or modify the existing one. Pay special attention to the defense. You'll definitely need it. To defend the cargo, a team will need one powerful and heavy craft. It'll destroy the invading enemies, draw the fire, push the truck when needed. The rest of the team must protect these 2. A new week brings new questions from our viewers. Please allocate the melees and other modes during the day, not to deprive the players from other time zones of the opportunity to play those. According to our statistics, it's the exact time period that most players get into the melees. The time frame of this mode may change in the future. Will you introduce a new faction after level 10 of the Lunatics? New factions will be added into Crossout, but for now it's too early to say anything specific. We're working through the concept of a new faction. When will the new update be available for PS4? The work on console updates for Crossout is almost finished. We're now conducting final debugging. The release is to be expected in the soonest possible time. Well, that's it for today, survivors. Looking forward to seeing you in a week to spill some more facts about the Waste's battles. Don't waste your time. Gain experience and toughen up in fights. And also, subscribe and do me a favor, will ya? Tell your friends about this show. Leave comments below. It's important for us to know your opinions. Be seeing ya.